Welcome back, everybody. It's been a long day so far. I think we're 8 hours in to 10 hours of free CPE. So thanks for hanging in there. I changed my Dave just for you. I changed into my t-shirt and I've hooked up my walking treadmill. So for all of you that have sat in your chair for 8 hours, you need to get up and move around. I'm going to get on my walking treadmill while Dave presents, and we're going to go from there. Um, I did want to remind everybody, just quick announcement. I haven't done this earlier. Next Tuesday is Colorado Gives Day. Very much encourage all of you to give on that day because there are matching funds to all of those charities. This is one of my favorites, Big Dogs, Huge Paws. But I also want to mention the COCPA Foundation. We gave away, I think, over 40 scholarships last year to deserving accounting students. And with the pipeline issues that are happening right now, your support of the COCPA Educational Foundation is huge in trying to encourage kids to get their accounting degree. So I encourage you to donate there and to all of your other favorite charities next Tuesday. It's a great way to actually get them extra dollars. So that's my little plug for there. Let's jump in. Our next program's coming from Trinet, a nationally recognized PEO firm. I love that our local rep Dave here is here in Colorado, and he is a CPA. And even better, what I appreciate most about Dave is that he donates his time to the society and is currently chairing our member connections committee. So Dave, thank you for that. We very much appreciate that. It's also great to then be partnering with you because I know, we're going to get the right kind of service and attention because of your background and your work with us. So I think that's really important. Trinet is going to help you understand the many HR options available to you today in today's work environment. Since I've already introduced Dave, presenting with him today is Tim Hansen. Tim leads the CPA Alliance program at Trinet. And Trinet's a New York Stock Exchange listed company that provides full service HR solutions for SMBs. Tim's mission is to build and manage long-term relationships with CPA firms and other professional service providers in the Western region and to help SMBs grow their businesses and deliver value to their clients. So without further ado, Dave and Tim, take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate the kind words. For anyone who I've not met, I'm sure you've seen a COCPA Connect post from me about one of our several events coming out. So this is a little bit more in depth, just to go to show that I'm not just out there drinking at a happy hour every single day. There's a lot of other components to what we do, kind of the organizations that we work with. So really, the bulk of this presentation is to give some illumination to the other options that are out there when I'm sure a lot of clients that you work with have questions around HR, payroll, benefits, compliance, a lot of other areas that you may not specifically touch as a CPA, but I'm sure you're exposed to and you have to work with on a pretty consistent basis. So the majority of the times, Tim and I will be going through a lot of different slides to go through some of the options that are available, but we want this to be interactive and to be able to get some of the hands-on experience that you've had from clients who have asked, hey, what can I do for HR? What can I do for benefits? What can I do for compliance? So we can kind of answer more specifically in terms of the situations that you're dealing with day to day.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Your settings, we're seeing the main slide and your next slide versus, I think, in presentation mode.
Huh?
I don't know. You can, I don't know if that's under the display settings or.
I could share it, Tim. I think I should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it was giving us the next slide and the notes. So
Got it.
There, that's better.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Perfect. So just a quick disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. Trinet provides clients with legal, compliant HR guidance, best practices. We do not provide legal, tax, or accounting advice. We merely partner with accountants all across the country to help serve small to mid-sized businesses. But with that said, I'm sure you've come across me on a bunch of different times. I'm going to let Tim go ahead and introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. Tim Hansen, the Senior Manager of Strategic Partnerships. Thanks, Daryl, everyone for having us here today. I've had a chance to come out to Colorado for a number of your events. Really enjoyed them, and we really appreciate the partnership with COCPA. So glad to have a chance to get to know everyone today, and hopefully be a resource for you going forward. So topics, as Dave kind of mentioned, we're going to give you, overview of really kind of the common questions we get asked in the scenarios we run into. Trinet specializes in the SMB space. We are vertically aligned, so we do see pretty much the three key or three most common strategies out there for HR solutions. When we say HR, we're going to use that as sort of an umbrella statement for you can have your HR needs, your benefit needs, your payroll, you want to be compliant. So all that kind of bundled together, and we'll kind of slice and dice it. But as we refer to it as HR options, that's what you're really speaking of, just HR efficiency, the benefits, all those things that go into running a business and a successful business. And certainly, what our job is always is helping businesses and business owners understand options. There are a lot of options out there, not only what we do, but also just the other vendors out there and some great options as well. So it's really important as you're kind of picking the HR strategy. One of the things we do, and Dave's an expert at it, is really looking at, current state versus future state and what will get you there, what's currently in place or might be better to make a change or evaluate. So we'll talk a little about that today for you and hopefully, get some of your feedback on what you're seeing out there in your client base or in industries you're specifically working with. So we go to the next slide. So yeah, we'll talk about some HR options here, and I say kind of like the three common strategies we often run into and begin the discussions with. So the first one, the most commonly, this is your larger companies, in-house HR, could be an HR director, it could be a VP of people. These are typically what I might consider more mid-market up to enterprise, where this is going to be the kind of the number one strategy on a go-forward basis. And we go to the next piece there. And then, we've got the multi-vendor, which is more common on the SMB side, especially in some of our, technology companies, life sciences companies. Companies are going to be scaling pretty quickly. Often we walk into a situation where they may have raised their hand, or we just through organically having a conversation at an event or a mutual introduction, or it's multi-vendor, where it's been sort of barbelled up. I start with payroll, then all of a sudden I need to offer benefits to my employees. I got the benefits going. I got that through a broker. I need workers' comp. Okay, I might need some HR expertise. So it becomes this kind of web of vendors that the business is going to use, the multi-vendor approach, as we call it. And then the last one be the PEO. So these kind of like the three pieces, the three different, call them strategies out there more commonly that we're run into, and it might be familiar to some of you as well. So we can talk about each one here in detail. So, running your, HR function in-house, again, this is, let's say a more mature company or sometimes, businesses that, maybe early on decide that they,
okay. Tim, we got a question.
We got a question for the audience. PEO, what does that stand for? Great question. Sorry for the acronyms. I'll use ASAP, MBA all the time at IBM, so I apologize ahead of time. PEO is Professional Employer Organization. That's what Trinet is. We are a PEO. Great question. So feel free to ask any other questions as we go through this too. No problem. My pleasure. Thank you. And so, running your own HR in-house. So, it's ideal, like say for a large enterprise company or mid-market company. And when you think about really the, HR expertise, we can keep clicking forward, Dave, right there. Kind of what that means here. So if you think like, you don't do it HR in-house, you have, let's say, the multi-vendor approach. This is more commonly we run into. So, a one-off vendor for payroll. You have, kind of the benefits going through open market or some other resource. You have an employee training happening. And again, this is, there's a lot of flexibility, some good options here, but this is kind of how it usually breaks out. One of the challenges, though, is kind of managing all. How much am I paying for? How much am I, the owner operator, involved in these administrative processes? And what's kind of the risk associated with it. We can go to the third one, the professional employer organization. What does that look like? So another way of thinking about the PEO is co-employment, and we'll talk more about that later on in our discussion here, just to give you sort of a definition behind it and really understand conceptually, how it works. So professional employer organization, PEO, is a single vendor, so a single company that will have a solution that provides, all those services in-house. So, the employee, the HR expertise, there's going to be a technology involved. Benefits is a big advantage when you think about using a PEO versus, let's say, the multi-vendor approach. And the larger enterprise companies with HR, that's going to be in-house. They may have 50 to 100 employees, so they might go through a broker, and that might give them more buying power. But the PEO, when you think about trying to mimic that enterprise experience, the PEO gives you the economies of scale to do that. That's one of the reasons a business will want to look at a PEO when that cost on the benefit side gets to be a variable year over year that can be sometimes the antithesis of managing the business from a revenue perspective. So the PEO model, Dave, why don't you talk a little bit about this here?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, before I'm going to jump back just for a second.
All right.
I know it's we're in the eighth out of ninth session of the day, and everyone's probably tired. So I wanted to try and liven it up a little bit and just ask. And if anyone's brave enough to come off mute, I will appreciate it in the back end. But either come off mute or just lay in the chat. Whenever you have clients ask for assistance, whether it's HR, benefits, state compliance, kind of what are the normal modes that you kind of point them to, or what has been most common in terms of your solution that you'll kind of refer your clients towards?
It will have to be in the chat, Dave. They can't come off of mute.
Got it. Okay, I got the chat pulled up now. Insperity, Gusto, someone from Gusto. 5 to 50, always refer a PEO solution. Depends on size, absolutely. Paychecks. Over 20 employees, I push them towards PEO. Yeah, I think these are all good comments, and I appreciate everyone's engagement. I know, like I said, 8 out of 9. It's there's been a lot of things going on, and I'm sure you're getting blown up on the back end from work as well. But these are all different solutions that I think set the table really well for what we're looking at and kind of what we'll get in more detail for. Size absolutely matters, the size of the business and kind of like where we can provide the most help. I think 5 to 50 is the most common because that's where our scale is really, really helpful. Gusto, a little bit different than us. I can go into kind of some explanation about that. And we go up against Insperity all the time, so completely understand that as well. But high level, so PEO, when they say professional employer organization, it's a little bit of a complicated concept. The easiest way I like to kind of position it is you put the small business underneath of our FEIN that gives them access to the size and scale, and also gives us the responsibility to keep them compliant from a state, federal, local level. So we have the co-employment relationship to keep them compliant as a company and with all of their different employees. We're registered in all 50 states, so we handle the state, local compliance with all the different employees that a company brings on. And then we have a service agreement with the client. So our agreement is with the company to help support them in all different facets. The one thing I want to keep clear is that we don't take on the management for the company. So the business is still making all of their decisions. We're not here to say, hey, you need to hire this person or you need to fire this person. We are merely there to support the organization. We're there to be brought in to help, to provide HR consulting services, to provide guidance, and to be the one filing on their employees' behalf so that they can get all their W-2s and they know that they're not going to have the IRS coming after them. Any questions around the PEO relationship as a whole, concerns that you've had over time? I really want this to be open in case if people have specific things or specific questions about it, because it is kind of a abnormal construct. I'll keep it moving then. So what do people need to know? And we'll kind of go through some of the different advantages and disadvantages of each of the solutions. And obviously this is broad, so I'm not here to say, hey, one is more important than the other. Every business is different, and the size and scale that every business needs is going to be different. When you have HR in-house, you're going to have good control of the organization. You know, hey, this is Tim. He works in HR for us. He handles all of our compliance, all of our payroll, all of our benefits. And ideally, you're hiring an expert. That's someone who's going to be making usually over $100,000 for the year, has the SHRM certification, has a couple other things on their resume to be able to take it on. Some of the disadvantages, like I said, you're hiring a full-time person or a full-time staff. As the company grows, it's going to be a little bit bigger, so you may need a full team. It's time intensive and resource intensive. So if anything comes up, if any issue arises, just the filing in general and being able to keep up with it, all the new laws that are coming into effect, it can be a lot to handle, and you need to make sure that you're staffed up for it. At the same time, it's not exactly driving revenue. So sometimes when leadership comes in or consultants come in, it's a tough bone to pick. I saw a couple good questions in the chat, so I'm gonna wait until we get to the PEO slide to go through it, because I can be more specific when I go into them. Multi-vendors. So this is kind of when you pull in a couple different vendors. You'll have someone business for payroll. If you just have ADP for payroll, if you have an HR consulting firm, or you're bringing someone else in who's outside of the house, you got a benefits team, you have a 401k team, you have someone who's doing the hiring for the organization, you have someone who's handling the expenses, all kinds of different vendors that you would be adding there. The advantage is you add on a new piece as that comes up for the business, and it's a little bit more flexible. If you decide, hey, I want to take I don't think we have a good expense management system now, I want to be able to switch it, you have the flexibility to be able to do so. Disadvantages is it spreads you out a little bit, a lot of different work keeping up with all of your different vendors, narrow offering. So you have a group, and that's what they do. They're not going to come in and solve all of your needs. And then trying to pull all the systems together. I mean, as accountants, it's kind of one and the same. Every time you're bringing in a new cloud product for the business, the first question is, does it integrate? Does it integrate with QuickBooks Online? Does it integrate with NetSuite? Does it integrate with Xero? Making sure that it integrates with the solution that you have, so it'll pull straight to the general ledger, is always a big talking point, and making sure that it does. And if you have a bunch of different systems, it may be a little bit tougher to do so. So I'll move over to PEO, and I'm actually going to start by addressing some of the questions that are in the chat, because I think they're really good questions, and I really appreciate people being engaged for this. And I'm going to have to.
We got fee structure. Dave came in.
Yep. So fee structure for Trinet, everyone does this a little bit differently. So I don't want to speak for other PEOs. This will all be kind of Trinet centric. That's how we do it. It's a flat per employee per month charge. We call it a PEPM. Basically, hey, here are all the admin services that we're doing, and it's all included in one price. Keeps it simple, keeps it easy to understand and easier to forecast year over year. It's pretty standard with us. Other companies may do percentage of payroll or charges for different fees here and there. Sorry, it keeps bumping up for me, Tim.
So how does a company determine the financial stability of PEO since payroll and benefits are funded in advance? That was one of the questions. And that's from Steve. And what is the smallest number of employees? So employee headcount, that makes sense. And then the second question being the financial stability of a PEO.
Yeah, so we start at 5. Sometimes we can go down to 3, but I like to be kind of broad with it. So it's 5 employees is really the area that we start looking, and it's worth having the conversation. 5 all the way up to, I think someone said 50 earlier. That gives you the whole area for small group insurance. And then we have some clients that are up over 200. So it's not limited. It's become a lot more scalable for groups where we're able to add on for more employees. And we have a very robust solution. So it covers a lot of different areas. In terms of the financial stability, that flat per employee per month fee is very easy to scale, easy to understand. We handle all of the filings, so you don't have to think about any of the additional costs associated there. We'll sign the 5,500 audit for the 401k for the company. It really gives a very predictable area. And then when we also take on the benefits portion, we haven't talked about it a ton yet, but when we take on the benefits for the group, our average renewal is 3%. So that's something that you're looking at. It may fluctuate year to year because you're looking at a company of 20 employees. And if someone gets sick, the whole rate goes up. We have coverage for over 1 million employees, so it's diversified out, which allows us to be very consistent year over year with those renewals.
And then I can answer there's a question here about. I said, oh yeah, the worksite employer still get the work opportunity tax credit for eligible new hires? So WOTC tax credit, correct?
Yep.
And so so Trinet is IRS certified. So you think about WOTC credit, R&D tax credits, ERTC, other programs like that are federal, state approved programs, the IRS. Our client base can still get the benefit of that since we are IRS certified to make sure eligible clients will receive the benefit. So that's not our PEO is not a barrier because of our IRS certification. And the other question is, how much is it per employee per month? So one thing to add on, so with our alliance agreement with COCPA, the good news is there's a discount scale based on the head count. So to answer that question in full, we want to know the head count of the company you're talking about. With the COCPA partnership, there's a discount level for the price per employee per month. And then the other part is, as Dave will probably talk about, when we kind of look at the cost, it's sort of with the true value statement or what really you're going to get out of the PEO. It's hard to pull out one piece of it to really see how it works, especially with a multi-vendor situation. So Dave will do a pretty in-depth analysis and ROI build out of, all the things you need to do to run your business, the benefit side. I'm based here in the West Coast. A lot of California companies that I see lately, even businesses coming off multi-vendor, but coming off open market benefits, we might be awash in terms of our price per employee per month with our other kind of vendor costs. But the benefit side is we're seeing a lot of savings right out of the gate on that. And that's Dave mentioned year-over-year contained costs. But lately, the market's been so volatile that we've seen initial savings right out of the gate. So on the bigger picture, though, it's cost containment overall. But we're glad to share with you if you have an opportunity, a client that wants to look at it and walk you through the whole process. It's certainly our goal is to educate everyone as we're doing today on the options and what's the best fit for the company.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up on the one other question that Steve had in here. Said, are losses on medical plans community rated so one very sick employee doesn't create a negative on the insurance premium renewals? And you're exactly right, Steve. It is quote unquote community rated, but it's even larger than what your normal community would be. So this is scaled across all of the clients that we represent. We have over 22,000 clients nationwide. So one very sick person in your organization is diversified out over a million other people across the country. So it really does not have a negative effect on the insurance premium because we're able to diversify across the whole group. Um, it's very consistent, and you'll be able to kind of see that the size and scale even when we're quoting groups initially. We'll even model that off of what you would see from a broker. We work with healthcare brokers all across the country. So we've talked through some of the benefits. There's definitely time savings. You're working with one vendor who can help you in a lot of different areas. You also have access to two main points of contact at all times, so you know exactly who to get your service from. Wide range of benefits. We offer health, dental, vision, life, workers' comp, accidental death and indemnity. Pet insurance is the new hot product that's out there. Um, we offer all of that in size and scale, and you have a lot of different options within each of those. So your employees will have, instead of two or three different benefit options, they would have 10 to 15 in most cases, so they can find the plan that works best for them. Our HR expertise, you could look it up online. It's one of the major differentiators for us is the qualifications that we ask for our HR business partners. We ask for at least 5 years. You have to have a SHRM certification and at least 5 years in the industry. We're verticalized in that approach. The risk mitigation, having a group that's standing next to you from all of the compliance and risk. We're the ones who are communicating with the state, federal, local agencies to make sure the employees are there. And then the monetary savings with every group that we're looking at for Trinet, we provide a full side by side so they can accurately see what this would be, whether it's an investment or an overall cost savings for the company. Some of the disadvantages: we can't serve every group. It's some groups are too small. Look at it on a case by case basis. And some of the customization, sometimes in different industries, or if there's a specific area that you need, sometimes we're not able to cover it. But we have a lot of different groups now that I work with, and I can kind of make the right referral where it makes sense. So even if you're not a fit for Trinet, I do my absolute best to make sure that you get put in a situation that makes sense for you. So some of the numbers, I know we've talked kind of high level, but as accountants, we like to see the hard costs. What's this actually mean? What does this look like on a bottom line? 2019 independent study. This may seem a little larger, but I promise you the numbers are very very similar. They've actually gone up a little bit in the years since, but average annual return on investment from moving from a regular approach to a PEO is roughly 27.2% savings. This goes into a lot of different areas, whether it's medical benefits, whether it's condensing down your vendors to one as opposed to having three or four, and just being able to maximize people's time and energy associated. And then we have 98% of clients would recommend a PEO to a small business colleague. Obviously, it's a fit in a lot of cases, and I would just encourage everyone to check it out. I think going through it, it's a concept that was not clear to me when I started my career, and it really does make sense in a lot of different areas for businesses, just overall. So I would encourage everyone to just kind of like see what it would be like, go through the process, and kind of move from there. Tim, anything you'd like to add?
No, and just you can see that this is a reference from NAPIO, the National PEO organization. So this is based on a study of an aggregate of PEO users beyond Trinet. So I just want to point that out. This is a general statement of savings and the strength of PEO.
Yeah.
Some question from
I
Rachel. Really quick. They've got, for a company with no deducted HR person, The PEO has been great, roughly. Oh, okay. Oh, so Rachel's just giving us a shout out. So, our PEO. Thanks, Rachel. Was that Trinet or a different PEO? You can throw it in the chat. I'm just curious. Has been great, roughly 350 per biweekly pay period. All right. Thanks, Rachel.
And then one other question I saw from Karen: do you typically see a reduction in medical premiums? And I do want to preface this by saying every group is different, so it's not consistent. But I'd say overall, when we quote a group our size and scale, normally it's a 20 to 30% decrease on the premiums, just because we're coming in with more buying power with those benefits and we having those people across. So a lot of times, even with our service fee included, we come in as an overall cost savings for companies, especially in the medical premium area. So all that understood, it's all about picking the right HR option for you and for your clients. Some of the steps that you're looking at in terms of how to pick an HR solution: do you need the HR expertise? Is there a specific area of the business that requires more time and attention? What's If you're boiling it down to hours, do you have someone who's wearing multiple hats in the organization, who's covering payroll, covering benefits, covering the day to day, covering compliance for the group? Um, is that the area that they want to be in, feel comfortable with? Um, are you looking to expand into different states? So a lot of times we see groups. It's I have a great employee. He'd be an awesome addition to the team, but he's in California, and that seems complicated. Um, is attracting and retaining talent high priority for the organization? Definitely something that you want to be able to look at, especially when you're looking at what benefits packages that you can offer and what you would want from employees long term. And then the development stage. So trying to average tenure with a group is between 7 to 9 years. And one of the things that we really impart with our groups is helping empower employees to stay. It's something that's changed a lot, and it goes back to the overarching pipeline discussion with accounting firms as a whole. People just aren't staying as long with companies as they had in the past, and it's really an unaccounted for cost for the organization. Going out and hiring is expensive. Paying out to employees, like, you really they aren't fully up to speed in the organization 6, 12, 18 months down the road. So being able to have that development cycle with the employee and being able to benchmark out, okay, what am I doing? What's the market doing? If I'm increasing that salary year over year, to make sure that they're comfortable, happy, and want to stay with the organization for the long term. Um, and do I want my employees to have access to benefits similar to large companies? Goes back to the attracting. If you're pulling someone out of a big four firm, young people may not be looking at it right away, but a lot of people are also looking at, okay, what's the benefits package? I understand what my salary would be in the year, but I want to be able to have a $2,000 deductible plan because I know I'm going to be having a kid the next year. Um, so being able to offer that is a competitive advantage, especially when companies are trying to take people out of the big four firms.
And David got a question here from Donna. Good question. Thanks, Donna, for the question. How are acute employee relations handled with a PEO, e.g., immediate and serious employee behavior situation?
Excellent question. So what we encourage is to contact your HR business partner right away for that. Part of the agreement with Trinet is $1 million of EPLI coverage. That's employment practices liability insurance. It covers kind of what you're alluding to here, Donna, with discrimination, harassment, wrongful termination, all those kind of sticky areas that companies, especially small to mid-sized companies, can get bogged down by, or you got a person who's leaving the company wrong fit and they're trying to shake down the employee for or the employer for all that they have. So you contact your HR business partner. We'll start the case, have a full independent investigation, and basically do our best to understand exactly what's going on at the company and shield the company wherever possible, because it's kind of a separation of duties in part. You don't want the same person who's auditing to be the one who's filing the taxes. You also don't want the same person who's um, making the decision on whether to let someone go or keep them to be the same person who's tied up into the situation that the employee's um, concerned about. So we take a very proactive approach when it comes to those, because that's kind of, we put that EPLI policy in our agreement because we want to put our money where our mouth is with companies and show that, hey, we are equally invested in making sure that those situations get resolved promptly. It's a great question, though. It really is where I think these solutions matter a lot. So picking the right PEO, there's a lot out there. You would be absolutely shocked if you just Google how many PEOs are out there in the country. Um, if you ask me when I was I was still working for Deloitte, how many PEOs I thought were out there, I'd say 10. And you're looking to something closer to 10,000. There are a lot of different PEOs out there, all the way from the national brands, your Trinet, Insperity, ADPs of the world, down to local brands that are specific to each market. So picking the right one, if you decide you want to go down that route, or even have a client that looks at the opportunity, there's a couple of things that you need to think of. Finding an established PEO. So the main accreditation for PEOs is the Employment Services Corporation. So that's your ESAC. You want to make sure that the PEO is credited there. That basically gives the backing where if something happened, the company became insolvent for some different reason, you're backed up by the federal government, so the employees would still be paid. Collect references, talk to other people. This is why everyone, you kind of want to have someone that you can point to when clients are asking, because you want someone who you've been able to kind of see all the way through and know that they're providing right by their clients. Same way it works when someone's looking to get, hey, I need someone who's going to file my taxes. I need someone who's going to provide a good audit to a nonprofit. Quality benefit packages, or benefits and packages. So every PEO has a different agreement with major insurance carriers out there, and that will differ greatly group to group. So making sure that they have the right relationships to be able to provide the benefits that your employees need. Relevant expertise. Not all companies are equal. You have a blue collar group would be looking at way different compliance and regulatory areas compared to a wealth manager or compared to a doctor's office. So having the right backing to be able to properly serve the groups that you're looking for. Know what you're being charged. Like I said, a bunch of different ways that you'll be looking at it. Just being able to understand, hey, I'm paying X and X PEO, such and such per month for the services that they're providing, and making sure that they're transparent with it. And the transition time, making sure that you go through it and you are fully set up and ingratiated and have a full knowledge of the support. I can't tell you how many groups that we talk to that you ask what they're doing currently, and it's like, well, we're doing this, but I haven't really been in contact with so and so in X and X time. So knowing who your representatives are and your points of contact is a major piece of the pie when it comes to making sure that your clients are being served correctly. Tim, anything you want to add?
No, I have a question here, which I think after covering picking the right PEO, it was a good time to ask the question. So, Nicole, thank you for the question. What is it? What if a client has multiple businesses where the same employee could be working across all of them? Would a PEO be a good solution for this?
Yeah. Again, it depends on the situation. Like I don't want to speak for all companies, but we work with a lot of multi-entity groups. It's an easy way for them to be able to kind of consolidate who they're working with. And we have the functionality to be able to, if an employee is working certain job codes for one company and being paid a certain rate, but they're also working a different job code for another company, we can still have that all managed under one platform so that the payroll can go out to them either segmented or all together, depending on how that group would prefer it. So a lot of times it just makes sense when you have a couple of different related entities that are doing different businesses to keep them under one roof with the PEO. And from a Trinet perspective, we consolidate all that in. If you want to bring on 3 or 4 related entities, we keep the same benefit rates, the same admin rates, the same workers' comp codes across the companies, so and the same points of contact. So you'd be able to keep a lot of things streamlined and be able to make it a little bit smoother.
And another question here, and Nicole, did I answer your question? If anyone else has any follow-up questions and stuff we're answering, please just throw it in the chat. These are excellent questions and very timely. Cindy had a question for us. Do you handle certified payroll or payroll for cannabis?
For that one, it's a little bit trickier. We are kind of similar to the banks when it comes to if they are touching the product, we are prevented from working with them for the time being. That's just an overall guidance. I mean, even though we work with a lot of different companies across the country, and I mean, trust me, being in Colorado would be a major bonus to be able to help out the cannabis groups. We need to make sure everyone that we're working with is federally compliant, and there are some areas that we're just not willing to go into. But really good questions. I can't tell you how much I appreciate just overall the engagement of this group. I mean, it's 4:15 on a Thursday that you've been going through 7 CPE sessions prior. So I really appreciate the level of engagement with the group as a whole. Any other questions that people may have, we'll also include our emails here at the end of this for anyone who has questions or groups that you could even say like, hey, Dave, would this group be a potential fit for the PEO? And I promise to be dead honest. I mean, trust me, it's not worth looking at a square peg and a round hole with any of this. You need the HR solution that fits for the company.
I think that's also any final questions, anyone? Just feel free, throw it in there. Appreciate the questions so far. And yeah, that it looks like we're up to date on the questions. Right, one more. Do you deal with international?
We do. This is a new addition. We basically have been looking to add this component to the portal for a while. We partner with globalization partners, have a direct integration with them, and can add on different employees. It's not directly through the PEO because all the international countries have different laws, different guidance, different ways that they handle healthcare. So the PEO is not exactly a nationwide solution, but we do partner to be able to, so you can still see your employees, pay your employees in that singular portal.
And I will add, Dave, so international could also be Canada. So if there's a business here based in the US, had HQ in the US and a subsidiary in Canada, that's a situation where Trinet can provide the payroll for the US and the Canadian employees. That's the one time where it can be all run through Trinet. Great questions. You guys cover all the key questions we'd want to cover and bring up. So I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Tanya. Thanks for the question. Thank you for the thank you.
Yeah, appreciate all the questions. I think we'll give people 4 minutes back here. I know it's been a long day. Maybe take one more quick break before you come back for the last session. Like I said, we'll follow up. We'll have our emails in there if anyone has specific questions for certain groups, or we work with CPAs all across the country. I mean, that's my background, so those are some of my best partnerships. Tim comes out to Colorado. I try and get him out here once a month. He probably comes out every other, but we love doing events for groups, and we love working with CPAs just because they have the same goals in mind as us, trying to do right by the clients. So anywhere that we can partner would be extremely exciting to us. And just happy to be able to spend a little bit of time talking about HR. I know it's a little bit outside of the normal sphere.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Tim. Again, Tim mentioned this. We have negotiated some special rates for COCPA members. So when you reach out to Dave, be sure to let him know that you are a COCPA member, and they will take care of that piece. But definitely worth at least a conversation. Again, not going to get the hard sell. Dave's going to just give you the facts and lay it out, and then let you guys decide. So he's great about that. So just as all our partners are. So thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We're going to try to make it through one final hour of CPE.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Daryl. Have a great day, everybody.